Okay, so it looks like we are live. So let me find this. And this is an intervention broadcast, and I'll explain in a minute. But let me just get here so I can monitor things as people come in. Find this. And this is an. Okay, so Brian is in the house. Yeah, Durr's in the house. There you go. All righty, so we got a few folks in the house, and this is an intervention broadcast. I had a viewer send me an email and ask me a question about what clothing, I think specifically they're asking about suits, what they should buy in the $1,000 to $3,000 price range. Guess they're looking to buy some nice suits. No video or sound. What? Let me go back here. I'm showing an indicator here that I've got video on my end. So it's all things look good here. Let folks know. Okay, I hear you. Okay, so somebody got Hickey Freeman. Yep, and also H. Freeman and Sons, Brian. So I sent him a link to the photos that I have of various sport coats and suits. Let me get that link here and put it in the chat. Give me a second here, because I really want to talk about this, because for me this sounds an alarm, and I'll explain in a minute. So let me put this link in here. We're going to talk about all this here. This is definitely something to talk about here. So, first of all, I hope this individual was not saying that he's going to spend from $1,000 to $3,000 to buy new suits. Now, if he is going to do that, that's fine, but I hope he's like in the $1 million a year income range. I hope he's really raking down a ton of money. So if you're making $1 million a year, the things I'm going to say right now do not apply to you. Okay, you can go out and you can find a great custom tailor and just have him make your suits. It's probably going to cost more like $5,000 a suit for a decent suit. So if you're in the $1 million a year income range, then don't worry about anything I'm saying. Just go out, find a really good tailor. There's a guy up in Canada that's really good, but find a really good one. And it's going to take probably 6 months for him to make a suit for you. But go ahead and just order up, a dozen or so suits and a dozen or so sport coats, and have at it. And if you want some ideas as far as designs or styles, you can still look at the photos I have put up to get some ideas. But if you're not in that income range, then what we're going to talk about right now definitely applies to you. If you're looking to save money, if you're looking to get really high-end, high-quality clothes to wear that are not custom made, but are off the rack, but you want high quality, this all applies to you. Okay. So, yeah, J Press, Paul Stewart. Yeah, I would pass on all those. Billy Reed. Yeah, I probably wouldn't go that way either. So here's what I would look for. I would look for brands that are made in the USA. Some are just going to say tailored in the USA. I would look for some of the older H. Freeman and Sons stuff. Hickey Freeman, Hart, Shafter and Marks. Some of the Macy's branded things, some of the Lord & Taylor branded clothes, some of the Nordstrom, higher end Nordstrom stuff with their own private label on it. Now, some of these, like, for example, Woodward and Lothrop's was a store in Washington, D.C. that's long since gone out of business, but they sold some high-end stuff. Raleigh's was a men's clothing chain in the DC area that sold a lot of Hart, Schafter and Marks, a lot of high-end stuff. So you might see some stuff with a Raleigh's label in it, depending on what part of the world you're in. I know they're mid-level, mid-price watches, but I only buy cheap plastic watches for serious beaters and high-end. I go, yeah, I wouldn't wear it. Why would you? Life is too short to wear some cheap plastic as a beater watch. Here's my beater watch right here. That's my beater watch. Okay. So wear something nice. Life's too short to wear junk. Okay. Can you buy a good suit online? Absolutely you can. We're going to talk about where you're going to get these things that I just was talking about. Okay, Brooks Brothers makes some of their suits in the USA, and they're in the $800 range. Okay, and a lot of the Brooks Brothers stuff, like a lot of their shirts and all, were all made in the USA back in the day. A lot of them are not now. So again, some of this stuff you may need to go vintage. So let me give you, so I really can't wear a Rolex for that. Oh yeah, you can wear a Rolex all the time. No problem. Neiman Marcus, needless markup. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that, but Neiman Marcus, they do sell some good stuff. You'll see some good brands there. Again, take a look at the photos that I've shared. But here's the thing. It really helps that you're in decent shape. Brooks Brothers, a lot of their stuff looks okay if you're kind of obese. You know, their stuff is kind of designed for people that are a little bit overweight or maybe even a lot overweight. But typically, if you're significantly overweight, if you're not in decent shape, it's harder to get off the rack clothes to look decent on you. You may have to go the custom route. But let's assume that you're in decent shape. And if you're not, job one should be you should work on getting into shape. Okay, you shouldn't be thinking about buying suits and sport coats and all that stuff. Job one should be getting in shape. Okay, so let's assume you've achieved job one, you're in decent shape. Then what you do is you figure out what size you wear in some of these brands. And there might be some trial and error. But like I usually wear between a size 42 in a sport coat and a 41, somewhere in there, depending on how it's cut. Let's see. Did everyone hear that Stone Cold Craig gave Archie a stunner? He's got the pick to prove it. Yeah, maybe I'll bring that pick up here pretty soon. Hey, Dirk, can you also email that to me to my name at gmail.com, just CraigShipp@gmail.com. Email it so I don't have to get it through Facebook. And we'll bring it up and we'll share it. I'm in shape. Round is a shape. Yeah, well, if that's the case, you should work on that first. That should be job one. Brooks Brothers, Regent Fit is more tailored. Madison is the full cut. Yeah. So if you need the Madison, you probably should work on that. Okay, so everybody, let's focus on getting in shape first. If a man in business were to have just two suits, what color and pattern should they be? I mean, obviously you want a dark blue pinstripe, probably, and maybe a gray, maybe a solid gray, a little bit on the darker side, gray. It goes with everything, right? I like conservative suits with modern cuts. Got to say slim and trim. Got to stay slim and trim for that. Yeah, see, I would stay away from any of the trendy stuff. Like, for example, you see a lot of these people wearing these suits where the jackets are real short, you know, and it looks like they're wearing like a little kid's jacket. I mean, it looks absolutely ridiculous. And they think they're hip, right? Because this is the style, you know, the real short jackets. Stay away from any of that trendy stuff that looks like garbage, okay? It's just like watches, same thing. Any of the trendy watches, like the ones where you can like see through to the mechanism and all that stuff, you know, tourbillon or whatever the hell they say, stay away from all that garbage, right? Just like, you know, don't pierce your nose and all that. Don't get a bunch of tattoos, you know, stay away from all the stupid stuff. Okay. I like conservative. Okay, there. Sure. Charity shops in the UK here offer some awesome jackets. There you go. Walking of my dinner here. It's at 9 p.m. Okay. Not sure what that means. Okay. All right. So here's the deal. Obviously, the cheapest way to get these really high-end clothes is things like thrift shops. Some churches have thrift shops. There's places in the U.S. like Goodwill, Salvation Army. It's very time consuming. You have to spend time going through, you might look through 100 shirts to try to find one that is that's a super nice shirt, like a Gitman Brothers, shirt in your size. So that's the most time consuming method, but that's probably the cheapest way to get them. That and yard sales, right? Moving sales where people are moving, having a yard sale, an estate sale, things like that. Those are where you get the best deals. Oh no, I refused undersized and too short clothing. I just don't like more traditional fits to suits. They tend to make me look about 20 pounds heavier. When I say modern, I mean slim fit. Yeah, go with a very conservative, traditional fit, traditional cut, traditional lapels. Again, refer to all the pictures that I've shared. And that way you've got clothes that you can wear until you wear them out. They're not going to go out of style ever. Okay, so that's the cheapest way to get them. Yard sales, church sales, estate sales, things like that, okay? The more efficient way to get them that is less time consuming, but you're going to pay more money, is like eBay, for example. And the thing about eBay is you're going to be able to search and save some searches by brand names. And that way you're going to be able to hone in on really what you want. So let's say you want a cashmere sport coat. You can search like 100% cashmere. Let's say I want a 41 regular, 41R USA, space USA, right? So that's going to really cut down the choices because it's going to, by definition, you're going to find some higher end stuff because it's 100% cashmere, it's made in the USA, it's probably not going to be junk. And we'll do an example search here in a moment, and I'll show you what I mean. And then you can save that search, and then when something gets listed that meets that criteria, you'll get an email, and then you jump on it if it's a good deal. Okay, let's see what else we got. Sorry, that should have been walking off my dinner. Start. Okay, there you go. All right, so let's pull up. First of all, let me share the photo, the awesome photo. Let me get it here. All right, and let me just share this. Give me a moment here. There you go. There is CraigShipp.com, and getting ready to give Archie a body slam. Look at that. Body slamming Archie Luxury. That's courtesy of Durr. Okay, so there you go. All right, so we're going to stop that. All right, I'm going to do one test search, example search here, and I'm going to show you this just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So I'm going to search 100%, and I'll share my screen once I get it in here. Cashmere 41R USA. Okay. All right. So now let me just share this. Okay. So there we go. All right. So now what I would do if I wanted to keep this search, see, I just click right here where it says save this search. I click on the little heart. Now that search is saved, 100% cashmere, 41 regular USA, right? And you can see one of my hits here is a Brooks Brothers woolen cashmere, right? So yeah, I would probably look at it, but I'd probably move on because I really want one that's 100% cashmere. Here's another blazer here. Here's one that is 100% cashmere, this plaid one. Let's look at that. But that's real expensive. He's asking $179. So for sure, you would not need to rush on that. That thing's going to sit there for a long time. Nobody's going to pay that kind of money for it. But it's probably in mint condition. It looks like those are patch pockets. They don't have the flaps on them, so I would pass on anything with patch pockets. And those lapels are a little bit large. And see how it's kind of like a trim fit there, like it's been taken in a lot in the waist. That doesn't really pop my clutch the way that thing is tailored. Okay, so let's pass on that for now. Let's see what else we got here. Here's a Hart Shafter Marks gold trumpeter. Okay, so that's no joke. All right, that's a high-end Hart Shafter and Marks. Okay, so let's look at this. This is a 41-42 regular. All right, so we're going to go right through here. Yeah, the lapels look good. The lining looks good. Single vent in the back. That's a nice looking jacket. And you can see it was custom made for somebody. So that would be a possibility. So let's say I'm considering that. That's too expensive, really. I wouldn't buy this. But let's say I just add it to my watch list. And maybe the guy's going to reduce the price. You can already make an offer on it, right? But so that's giving you an idea. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. I think I've given you enough of an idea of how you do targeted searches on eBay, and then you save the search, okay? Conservative suits and Datejust 36, trend-defying and future-proofing choices. There you go. Tudor outsells Rolex 3-1. I would think so. I mean, they're an everyman watch. I mean, they're not for the 20%ers or the 10%ers or the 1%ers. They're for the 80%ers. Stop giving away all those eBay tips, Steve. What's your opinion of Peter Miller? Well, Steve, if you know all these tips, all these things I just been talking about, if you already know it, then you probably already have all your sport coats purchased, all your suits purchased. You're probably set for life. You probably don't need any anymore. Just like me. I mean, I don't need any sport coats or anything, right? At this point, I have enough to last the rest of my life. Now all I have to worry about is making sure I don't put on weight so that none of the stuff will fit me, right? So most of my time I spend trying to stay in shape. What's your opinion of Peter Millar? Not familiar with his stuff. Do you prefer shoes with laces or slip-ons with a suit? I mean, normally I would say always laces, but you know, when you start getting older, you really like slip-ons because you don't like to bend over and fool around with laces. So a high quality slip-on, you could get by with that. I mean, my gosh, look at look at it this way. The bar has been lowered so much. So many people dress shabbily that if you're wearing a suit with some high-end, like made in Maine boat shoes, you know, you're probably going to be okay. A buddy of mine used to wear Sperry topsiders all the time with his suits. You know, kind of as a little bit of defiance. Another subscriber said they like Weegians, penny loafers, Bass Weegians. they're not that comfortable. You can buy higher end, higher quality slip-ons. Of course, you could wear Gucci's, right? Gucci loafers. So there are things you can do. Those suits are keeping you healthy, wealthy, and never out of style. There you go. So so that's the thing. The beauty of the high-end clothes, especially the ones that we're talking about specifically now, is a lot of people aren't interested in them. They're not interested in buying a high-end cashmere sport coat. They probably don't even know the brand to buy. They probably haven't even thought about it. And or they just like to wear hoodie, or other casual clothes all the time. They don't want to wear anything decent. So you don't have as much competition out there buying this stuff. That's why you can snatch it up on eBay, without a lot of worry that, everything's going to be sold out and there ain't going to be anything available. I mean, I just did a quick search, right? And I found a really nice sport coat. Yes, it was too high a price, but let's say you offered him 120 bucks. I mean, that's probably a $2,000 sport coat easily, that cashmere sport coat. So that's still, relatively speaking, a pretty good buy. And that's probably what you would pay if you went into like Joseph A. Bank and bought a, wool and cashmere blend piece of crap sport coat. You'd probably spend $200, right? So that's why this is kind of an intervention on the gentleman who said, where do I get a $1,000 to $3,000 suit? I hope he wasn't saying he's going to take, $2,000 of his hard-earned savings and go out and buy a suit off the rack. No reason to do that. Is the feed lagging for you guys? It's a good question. I don't know. So that's really all I wanted to talk about on this stream. Audio and video aren't synced. So we got all kinds of weird things happening, huh? I don't know. Everything looks good on my end, but with live streams, anything is always possible. Excuse me. What is the proper shoe type to wear with a business suit? Okay, so I do have some pictures in that album on my Flickr of shoes. You cannot go wrong with a wingtip, like from Church's or from Johnson and Murphy or from Allen Edmonds, some kind of high-end shoe, and a wingtip. You can buy a cap toe, that'd be fine. Anything like that. But again, I don't think you have to worry that much about it. I think any decent looking shoe or even a boot, that's, you're going to be fine this day and age. But if you wanted me to say what would I really do, what I do is I've got a pair of Church's that are made of ranch oxhide that are extremely durable, that are my go-to pair if I'm going out on a business meeting or something like that, because I know they can take a little bit of abuse. I'll bring up a picture here and show you. And I know that they're going to look good. So let me find them here. Here we go. I've showed these before. So let me share my screen. And I'll go ahead and show you, while we're doing this, I'll show you some of the other stuff. Okay, so those are the Church's shoes. Again, they're ranch oxhide. They have a nice texture to them, a nice shine, but they're very rugged. It's very rugged. They can take some abuse. So let's go through here. And of course, that's an Atlas briefcase made in Philadelphia. And of course, these boat shoes here are made in Maine. And of course, those topsiders, those are the captain's topsiders that are also made in Maine. And that's another topsider made in Maine. Another pair of the captain's Oxfords. And those are also made in Maine. Those are Ralph Lauren Tedfords. They used to make them. There's another pair. They used to make them in Maine. Now they make them in China. There's a pair of Allen Edmonds. Those are probably my favorite pair of casual shoes. And notice again, they are moccasin construction. That's what makes them so comfortable. The way that leather wraps up underneath your foot and then it's sewn on the top. And this right here is another example of a moccasin style construction. Those are like a chukka boot. Again, made in Maine, handmade. Same thing. Also made in Maine. And now those are Russell Moccasin Company. Those are made in, no, those, I just got off them. Whatever. These are the Russells, and these are made in Berlin, Wisconsin. And again, you guys got access to all these photos. This is a pair these are made of buffalo leather, also made in Maine. As a Burberry trench coat. The first one was a fly front, and this is a trench coat design lined. You always want to have one of those in your wardrobe. You can wear that anytime, really. There's another picture of the fly front. I have two of those, actually. Of course, there's me in Russia. There's a nice crocodile belt. Those are the Limer mountain climbing boots, custom made. And there's a cashmere. There's the gold stunner. You guys got access to all that. So it's Gitman Brothers shirts. You can't go wrong with the Gitman Brothers shirts. So you guys have access to all these photos. There's Hart, Schaffner, and Marks. We mentioned that earlier. That's a suit. Okay. And just some coats. Of course, Rolex in the background. There's some Gucci loafers. So you could wear those with a suit. Absolutely, you could wear those with a suit. Oh, there's Masha. Hold on one second here. Take this call live. Hello, I'm doing a live broadcast.
Oh, okay.
So what, anything important?
No, nothing important. Just no friends talk.
Are you having a good time?
I'm having a good time, but I'm ready to go home.
I'm going to put you on the speaker. Do you want to say hi to the people that are watching?
Okay.
Say hi.
Hi, everyone.
And
Merry Christmas.
And Happy New Year, right?
Happy New Year. Yeah.
Okay, I'll see you when you get back.
I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. Okay. All right, so we'll flip through a few more of these things. But you guys have access to all that. There's Hickey Freeman. We talked about that. That one, by the way, that's cashmere, all cashmere. And there's a Harris tweed holds up really well. If you get something in Harris tweed. Now that jacket there is one of my favorites. That's also cashmere. You see there. So Hart, Schefter, Marks. So you guys have access to all these. You can get, there's Turnbull and Asher. And that's an unlined Burberry. I have a unlined one and a lined one. So I don't have to bother with pulling the liner in and out. I can just grab whichever one I want. Okay, so let me get back to your comments and let's stop the sharing because you guys have access to all these photos. That's why I've put this album together for you guys. Craig, what do you think about Salvatore? I don't know those shoes, but I kind of stay away from a lot of the designer stuff. But I don't know what he makes, if the stuff's good or not. I just really don't know. If you're going for a $2,000 plus suit, I would never go off the rack. You will get top end custom suits. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think you're going to spend more like 5,000 for a bespoke suit, of real quality. I think it's going to be more like 5,000. I don't think you're going to get it for 2,000. What are your thoughts? And see, I don't have to really buy a bespoke suit. I can wear, in a lot of those ones I just showed you, I can wear like either a 41 regular or 42 right off the rack with minimal tailoring, and they look fine. So it really depends on your body shape and all that as to whether or not you really need custom, in my opinion. So what are your thoughts on alligator shoes and belts? Oh, I love them. I've got a lot of alligator belts and I've got boots. Well, actually my boots are crocodile. I did have a pair of alligator boots, but I don't have them anymore. But yeah, I have probably about a half a dozen alligator belts, and I have those, a black and a brown, that are crocodile also. So yeah, I love them. I like the look of them. You can get them reasonably priced as well. You got to get lucky on eBay to really get a good one. Keep your eyes open. You got to snag them quick, because those do sell pretty quick when a good one pops up. And I might be the one buying it. Hi, Craig. Would you recommend camel leather socks? Are you talking about SOAKS? I don't know what you're talking about there. The problem buying too many suits is that the average person doesn't wear them often, and when they want to, they put on weight and it's too small. Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. You really gotta keep an eye on your health and your weight. That should be job one, is keeping yourself in shape so that all these things will continue to fit. I have stuff that I've had for literally 40 years and still fits. But it takes a lot of work. What do you think of merino wool? It's okay. I mean, there's different qualities of wool. And so most of these high-end people like Hartschaffner Marks, they're going to be using, again, this is not necessarily what they're doing now. They're probably making stuff in China now that's junk. But I'm talking about, you get the made in USA real stuff, you're going to feel that fabric, and it's going to feel very fine and very nice. And just from one touch, you can tell that it's extremely high quality. Now, you might have some misbuys. I mean, if you're buying, again, the problem with buying on eBay is you're buying blind, right? So you might buy a sport coat for 35 bucks, for example, and you might get it and it might not fit, or it might have other issues or whatever. And so that's the price you pay, right? So let's say you have to buy two to get one good one. You're still only spending 70 bucks for one, right? So you're still ahead of the game, as opposed to buying some piece of crap sport coat for like $200 from Joseph A. Banks. Or heaven forbid, going into Walmart and buying your sport coat, right? You can't buy anything decent in Walmart. So, all right. So I hope we had a successful intervention on this person that thinks that they're going to go out and spend anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 on a suit. I think there are some much better options, and I think that you can save that money. A gentleman I shall not name explained that he doesn't need to dress in nice clothes when he wears his yellow gold Submariner because it compensates. You know, I think no matter what you're doing, you can also always dress nice. I don't care if you're at the pool, you can wear a nice, high quality swimsuit, right? Instead of a piece of junk swimsuit, right? You can always dress relatively decently. I'll put it that way, in whatever the situation, because you can buy these clothes we just talked about. You can buy these clothes cheap. You don't have to spend a bunch of money to buy the high-end stuff. That's the beauty of it, is this stuff depreciates so badly that you can buy it cheap. And And the comment that the individual made that people don't wear these things often, that's the cool thing about it is you might have a wealthy individual that had 10 suits and he only wore like a couple of them that were his favorites and the rest of them just kind of sat there most of the time. He passed away or whatever, or he got too fat to wear any of them and they donated them all to Goodwill, and you just happen to walk in and there's like 5 suits that fit you and they're all high end and you buy them for $10 a piece. I mean, that's pretty cool that can happen. I think it's all good. I wonder what kind of suits Clive has. He wears them all the time. It would be great to get him on to talk suits. Well, there you go. Dress for success. Absolutely. Clive is in the house. Okay, Clive, can you come in and talk about your suits? I'll get the link just in case you can come in. I'll email the link to you because I want to hear about what suits you wear. So I'll send it to you. I'm going to put it in the chat also in case anybody else wants to hop in. And I'll send it to you via email. Clive Watch Wrangler. Suit. Suit as in clothing, not as in lawsuit. Okay. All right. So if he wants to come in, maybe he can clarify on some of these things. And then if he doesn't want to come in, anybody else have any questions, get them in the chat because we're going to wrap up here pretty soon. So, no sign of Clive yet. And this might be my last broadcast for a little while because I got an event on the 31st. I don't know if I can broadcast tomorrow. I'm going to be traveling after that for a couple days. I never even knew it, but I have a Brooks Brothers store in the mall near me. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend buying anything from them. You know, if you're going to buy their stuff, buy it used. Again, there'll be a tremendous amount of depreciation. Clive is in the house.
Hey, Craig, what be happening?
So this is an intervention for a subscriber, and I've got you on screen, by the way. This is an intervention for a subscriber. A subscriber asked me where they should go to spend between $1,000 and $3,000 on a suit. And I started the broadcast by saying this does not apply to people with $1 million a year income that can afford to go out and buy 10 suits for $3,000 a piece, and it's not even a blip on their radar screen.
Right.
This is for people that care a little more about how much they spend and are trying to get the most for their money. And I just went through a bunch of photos of different brands like Hart Schafter Marks, Hickey Freeman, H. Freeman and Sons, and I have a bunch of photos in a set that I put in my Flickr of different suit and sport coats and things, and also showing the picture of the labels and telling people that if you save a search on eBay for a particular suit in a particular size, you'd be surprised how often they pop up and you can snag them, you know, for a pretty decent price. Now, that looks like a nice looking suit that you have on. What do you typically wear in your day-to-day workflow?
Probably Hart, Schafter, and Marks.
All the time?
I've got like a Hickey Freeman. I've got a few. God, I cannot think of it offhand. One that's a couple of lesser ones. I've also got a couple of just
like Joseph A. Bank.
No, I've had his stuff before.
Pass on them.
Yeah,
yeah. They're the Omega Speedmaster of suits. They're the tutor.
Now here's something else, you guys. If you guys want That's kind of funny because literally, you know where I got back from just now?
No.
Shopping for suits.
Really?
Yeah, that's just astounding.
Where did you
Well,
go?
Dillard's.
Okay, I like Dillard's.
Twice a year, Dillard's has their suits on sale for half price or more. The first one is January 1st. The
Mhm.
other one's like in July.
So why did you go now as opposed to January 1st?
It's all about who you know, Craig. It's all about who you know. The thing is, they pretty much we go in there. We deal with the guys. We're not, even though we're lawyers. We're not total dicks to them,
Mhm.
and so they give us a courtesy. They more or less let us know, hey, we got the suits we've got selected for the sale. Come in early. Give us your payment information. We'll ring it up the first day of the sale, and you swing by a couple of days afterwards, and we'll have them ready for you.
Well, there you go. Now, are Hart, Shafter, and Marks, are they still made in the USA? Are they still all that, or are they
They are.
offshoring them?
No, I think they're still made. I think they're still made in the USA. As a matter of fact, I was looking for trying to remember what my size is, and there's a label on the back of this one, made in the USA. You know, Dillard's took them over, so they're basically a Dillard store brand. But yeah,
Okay.
decently made. Probably not the best, but acceptable.
They used to be really good. I know back in the day. I just haven't seen what they're doing now. I haven't seen if they've cheapened them up or if they're still just as good.
I just suspect they've cheapened them up a little bit, but then again, there's a difference between having a suit and you're going to wear it once a month or 3 or 4 times a year, and going to work every day in a suit too.
Yeah. Now, do you find that now? Well, let's go back in time a little bit. Of the suits you have now, what is the oldest suit that's still in your rotation?
Probably one from about 2.5 or 3 years ago.
Really? That's it? You don't go back any further than that?
No, because I wear them. They wear out. Suits wear out if you wear them every day.
Okay. What do you get? Like where between the legs, or where do they fail?
Um, Between the legs, and to be honest, there is something that catches on my car. I'll rip out right about, just literally right beside the butt cheek on the left hand side. For some reason, they get a little worn, and then they'll split right there.
Okay.
Now, sometimes I'll have them hemmed up, and because that way the suit jacket's over it,
Hmm.
and also, when you're in a courtroom, chances are probably at my age, no one's really checking out my ass anyway.
There you go. And of course, back in the day, a long time ago, you could order an extra pair of slacks with them and have two pairs of slacks, but not anymore.
Well, and that's actually the downside to doing the Dillard sale, because a lot of times the big savings are on the fashions or on the patterns or the colors that they're rotating out. Now the perennial, the evergreens, the black, the banker's gray, those stuff that's always in season,
Mhm.
they'll be on sale a little bit, but not as much.
Well, like the lapels that you have on right now, I mean, those are timeless. I mean, you could have that suit on 10 years ago, and you could have it on 10 years from now.
Right.
That
Correct.
that doesn't matter. That's the way. I think that's the way to go. Now, okay, so your oldest suits are only a couple of years ago. So can you think back in time to 10 years ago? I mean, do you feel like there was any significant difference in quality at all, or do you feel like they're just as good now?
I think they're roughly as good now.
Okay.
Then again, I don't know if 10 years ago was truly the apex of American suit making,
You probably have to go 20 years back.
at least.
I remember when pretty much all of them that we looked at were made in the USA. I mean, it was just not, it was unheard of. You didn't even have to check. I mean, if I went into Raleigh's Menswear, which was a chain in the DC area, high end, all their stuff was made in the USA. All their good stuff. Now they had some stuff that was made in England or whatever,
Yeah.
but most of their stuff was all made in the USA. I mean, and it was really, and you touch that fabric, and I used to take the sleeve and twist it, and then let go and see how quick it just falls right back into shape with no wrinkles. I mean, you could just tell the good stuff just by handling it.
Those are the two I picked out in my size. Not really the best, but it's just really big. Partner's a little bit of a close horse, so
So this is today you picked these out?
yeah.
I like them.
And I also took a picture of just the other ones on the rack for a representative fit. And on the far right, just a classic black.
Mm-hmm.
On moderate sale, like a black herringbone. And then just different styles of gray and tan with different checkers in them, basically.
Yeah, so you couldn't go wrong with any of those.
Right.
They look fantastic. So there you go, people. There's a real guy that has to dress for success. I mean, that's his uniform, basically. He can't go into a courtroom wearing a sport coat. He can't go in there wearing a hoodie.
Well, actually, yeah, I totally could go. It depends on the judge, but yeah, you can kind of get away with the sport coat. Some judges are more lenient, and some judges are really strict. But you know, it's just state court here in the flyover state, so it's just like, are you wearing a jacket? Do you have a tie on? Okay, fine.
Yeah, but how often do you do the sport coat?
Well, keep in mind, now, are we talking about like a navy blazer and khakis? Does that really count as a sports coat?
Yeah, sure, that would count.
Yeah, maybe a couple times a month.
Okay, so it's still rare. It's not the most of the time you're wearing a suit.
Right. Also, the other thing I'd have to suggest is get a good steam machine.
Steam.
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, don't spill anything on them. Take proper care of them. But sometimes you can get a little bit extra wear out of them if I just get a steam wand, steam the wrinkles out, hang it up. I've got special ones that hold the pants by the cuffs, steam the wrinkles out, let them fall out, and you get a little bit more wear out of them between dry cleaning. Dry cleaning is actually really, in my opinion, tougher on a suit than anything else.
You know, I almost never dry clean any of mine.
Right.
Almost never.
I need to get better about that, but the only way it's like when you come home, for instance, instead of just slouching in the chair, throwing them over, throwing on the couch or whatnot, or getting on a live stream, you really almost need to disrobe immediately, steam them, and hang them up.
Exactly. As soon as I get home, I get into my casual clothes and hang up whatever it was I was wearing. Now, nowadays, I'm usually wearing sport coats.
Right.
I'm not, a lawyer going into a courtroom, so I can get away with sport coats just about everything that I do, and I like that because I don't have that problem that you mentioned, where if you damage the pants on a suit, the whole suit is gone. I mean, that's it.
Right.
You're done, because you can't wear a suit jacket as a sport coat. I mean, it just doesn't look right, and so you've screwed yourself. As soon as
you could get away with wearing a half a wardrobe just out of khakis and blazers and sport jackets and so forth and so on.
Yeah, well, yeah. If depending on your circumstance, that's what I highly recommend these guys do, is heavy on the sport coats and high-end khakis. Like I buy Bill's khakis. I think they still make them in the U.S. I know they did a few years ago. I think they still do. But I buy Bill's khakis, and you can buy them relatively cheap on eBay if you get lucky.
Right.
And they hold up real well, and they look good. And so you can wear just about any sport coat with those. It's just going to work.
But the funny part is, it's just like, even though the mall was horrendous with returns and after Christmas sales, there was almost like a miniature meeting of the Oklahoma Criminal Defense Lawyers Association in the menswear section at Dillard's. Hey, Scott. Hey, Clyde. Hey, Tom.
You don't have any real competition because nobody dresses decent anymore. Just the lawyers. Right. I think you're the only ones left that dress decent. That's sad. All right, let's look at the comments here. And I'm going to take you off. Now it's on voice command.
By your command.
The switching, and let's see what we got here. Men's Warehouse. Yeah, I'd pass on Men's Warehouse. I'd have. Okay, let's see. Can you recommend any bespoke polyester suits? Clive, how many suits do you own?
No idea. Okay, hold on. Okay. No, I had to shoot one in the head. I'm going to take it out to the dumpster today. So hold on.
Yeah.
I've got 2 at the mall. They're technically paid for. 3. Walk-in closets are nice. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19.
Wow, that's a lot of suits. That's a lot of suits.
I've got 19 suits and 2 pairs of jeans. Does that tell you anything about my life?
Well, there you go. Well, yeah, but the jeans, I mean, you can easily replace them and rotate them. I mean, by the way, Bill's Khakis also makes some nice high-end jeans. I have to buy my suits as separates because the jacket and pant sizes don't match up for me. I always have to go a size up on the pants, Durr says. Well, I don't know who allows him to do that unless he switches them while nobody's looking.
Possibility, but on the other end, I've got I've got a pretty decent tailor that, of course, the suits are off the rack, and he does a decent job at, customizing them a little bit, letting them in or out, or
Yeah.
You've got to.
Okay, I used to go to Men's Warehouse, but seems they're going out of business, Scott SJ says. Yeah, I'd pass on Men's Warehouse in any event. Men's Warehouse puts the screws to you. Those are all good-looking suits. How many did you buy, Clive? I think he said he bought 2.
Yeah.
Since he
and I could have bought more. I was thinking about it, but it's just like, oh, I really do need to do an inventory.
Okay, now they were half price. So what was after the discount, what was the price on them?
Well, now keep in mind is half price generally, some are discounted more heavily than others.
Okay.
So like the Chicago is the list MSRP on the Chicago is like $8.95. The blue one is going to cost me $4 something. And the brown one is going to be literally like $285.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
There's a reason why we do things for a reason.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I could make the argument with as many suits as you have right now, you didn't need those 2 anyway.
There's always sunrise, sunset. Some probably need to be put out to pasture, frankly.
Okay, so I got a message from Sarah, the host of Cowgirls Live. She uploaded the video to Facebook again, and it's still now only 720p. It was 360p before. She changed her settings and all. She re-uploaded it, and now it's 720p. But she exported it as 1080p. The original she has is 1080p. So she's not sure what's going on. So I'm going to say you should do some testing.
I also spoke to Archie about collabing, you 2 collabing.
What did he say?
Well, he said, yeah, well, just like anything, my prediction is that he'll invite you on his channel, but he won't come on yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Care to guess?
Well, that way he makes the money.
It's not much, really.
No, I know it's not.
But yeah. Yeah. Unless he's buying a Breguet or something like that. Yeah. So, but he'd love to have you on his show. That's the official response I've got. Also, as a programming note for Archie Luxury or Archie Luxury live stream, he is flying to Melbourne again tonight. So no live stream on Archie tonight.
So but they're all asking, I'm sure, let me check the comments. They're probably all asking when you're going to stream. Okay, they said, make your bed and clean your room. That's what they're saying to you.
My mother died 4 years ago. I'm not, well, other than Mark Goldberg, I'm not really seeking replacements.
So you don't have anybody to clean your room? Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. And Brian says, don't go into court with a greasy leather jacket like Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci, yeah.
Uh,
The two Utes. I'm sorry, the two what? The two Utes. My cousin Vinny, sorry.
So Durr says, Matt Atkinson, the room looks like that because he kicked a bunch of hot ladies out before the live stream. Clive is the man like that. Well, there you go. He literally kicked them out of bed.
No.
That's pretty.
No, unfortunately, no. And sadly enough. So you younger guys, you know, if your mother is between husbands, if you've got an aunt that's unattached, you know how to contact me.
There you go. How many different suits do you wear each week, Clive? So what's your rotation, I guess is what they're asking. And how long do you go before you wash each suit?
Generally, of course, okay. It's to quote George W. It's strategery. So, and again, you can steam the suits and get a little bit more life out of them that way. But sometimes it's like you look at which courtrooms am I going to, which clients are going to be in front of, which other attorneys will I be with, more than likely, and also what clients. Now, it is possible to, with a little care, you know, of course you change the shirts and the ties, but it's possible to get a couple of days out of a suit in a row if necessary, if you're not going to be in the same courtroom.
Yeah,
so I might have 2 or 3 I'll rotate in and out of.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got enough that you could wear a different suit every day pretty much for a month. You got 20 suits.
Yeah, true. I will have, but yeah. But then again, some of these I need to go through, and you know, like I said, there's some that have been mended. There's some that have been mended, and it's just like, I really. Even though, then again, it's probably better just to go ahead and get rid of them.
So, it's funny because mine don't get wrinkled. Why do your suits get wrinkled? If it's high-end fabric and all, it should be nice.
Sure. It could be court posture, or it could be, but a lot of times I'm going around from courtroom to courtroom, running around, up and down stairs. I might be in different courthouses. I might be in municipal. I might, like a Thursday, I'll probably park at the municipal courthouse because I figured out a way to scam free parking there all day. So hell yeah. So I'll park at the municipal, then I'll walk a complete city block over to county for an 8 o'clock. Walk back to city to handle a couple of 8:30 disposition hearings. Go back to county for 9. Sometimes at 10. Then you walk back, get in the car, drive back to the office, if you're lucky, if you get out in time. And then a lot of times there's afternoon dogged. So it's a whole bunch for me, it's a lot of running around. I save on parking, but you know, sometimes
I'm surprised though that the suits get wrinkles. I guess if you sit in a chair for a while and it's kinked the wrong way, I guess you can kind of press a wrinkle into it inadvertently. I just haven't had that much of a problem with wrinkles in my suits. I guess it's because I don't sit in a chair for like a period of time. Usually if I do that, I take the jacket off, but you can't do that if you're in court.
No.
So yeah, so it's probably your use case that is causing the issues.
And guys, if you're talking with your unattached mothers or aunts, tell them I rarely get wrinkles in the front of my suits.
Well, there you go. Where are you an attorney? Somebody asks. Where do you practice? I guess what they're asking.
Oklahoma County. Sometimes I'll go to adjoining counties if necessary. Canadian, Logan, Cleveland.
And so Richard is saying most people go business casual and don't wear suits that much. Correct, Richard, but we're not trying to be most people. So there's that. If we were trying to be most people, we would be wearing hoodies and we would be broke. Wow, that's a lot of suits. Okay, cool. And Gizmo says a good tailor and a good watchmaker can be important in this time and age. Well, there you go.
Absolutely.
And Durr says, Clive, do you have a favorite power suit and tie combo for big cases?
Well, and it also depends. It so depends because it can be a uniform, but just like in the military, different uniforms for different occasions. Sometimes you want a suit that is not as nice. You want to project that
you're a hustler out there hustling for your suit.
Or for instance, if I go to a smaller county, I will wear literally, you go in the oldest car you can in the worst suit you've got. If you're going to be like in a jury trial.
Got you.
Now, if you're hustling for clients, on the other hand, that's when you drive the nice car. That's when you wear the best watch. That's when you wear the best suit you've got.
Got you. Because they want somebody that's successful.
Right.
They want to buy that success. Okay, so Clive, consider you do a lot of running around. Which dress shoes do you prefer to wear?
Alan Edmonds.
There you go. Okay, good move.
Alan Edmonds, number one, they're American made.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, none of Jen's relatives touch them. Number two, oh my God, yeah. A good shoe, a cheap shoe will wear from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
A good shoe will wear from the outside in.
Gotcha.
So you might, $100 shoe will last for a few months with moderate activity. But if you get double it or triple it, you'll get so much more use out of it. So instead of the inside being composed of cheaper materials and grinding, because I basically walk like a Nazi. I'm heavy on my heels.
Yeah.
So with a cheap shoe, I will grind out the inside of the shoe, and it's worthless.
Gotcha.
With a good shoe, I'll wear out the heel, but heels, it's a lot easier to replace a heel than it is,
absolutely. Deaver Smith says, "How do you feel about Ralph Lauren suits?" I'll answer that.
Lauren, that's the other one. Yeah, that's my Ralph Lauren. Also, shit. There's another Dylan brand.
Years ago, Ralph Lauren made some good stuff. They used some good suppliers. They had some good stuff, but not so much anymore. I would run away from them just like I'd run away from a Tudor, Deaver.
They don't last nearly as long. They look nice.
Yeah, they used to be pretty high end back in the day, but not anymore. I'd just pass on that. Okay, so let's see. Here's one. Somebody put a link to something. I'm not sure what that is.
Also, just a quick note.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might be surprised to know that double-breasted suits are apparently impervious to carpet beetles.
Do you have carpet beetles there?
No, I do not.
Okay, good. Invest in some great fitting polyester suits. I like wearing suits. My office is pretty business casual. Everyone asks me where I'm interviewing whenever I dress up.
Yeah, it's just like you go in, someone walks in especially nice, it's like, hey, Bob, how'd the interview go?
Yeah.
It's just an old joke. And no, those are traveling suits. Like, for instance, like there are some, every once in a while I've got oh God, I can't remember the freaking.
Does it get hot in the summertime where you are?
We're the state immediately above Texas. What do you think?
So do you have any of the Brooks Brothers washable suits for the summertime?
I've got a few Brooks Brothers, but a couple of them, older ones, but not washable.
They used to, I don't know if they do anymore, but they used to make some washable suits that were really cool to wear in the summertime. They really were designed like a seersucker type thing, but
Well, the
they
thing is, this also, again, the importance of this of a good steam cleaner. Besides taking out wrinkles, you're basically hitting the fabric with superheated water, so that also refreshes the fabric as well, and
yeah, well,
it cleans it with steam, basically.
yeah. Um, let's see what else we got here.
Now, if you don't have access to a steam cleaner, get like a spray bottle, fill it with tap water or distilled water, and sometimes you could spray if you have enough time, you can spray that on a pair of pants or whatever. It'll take the wrinkles out, and
Hang them up in your bathroom when you're taking a shower. Take a nice long hot shower and steam them that way.
well, on the other hand, I'm kind of more worried about my shave when I'm taking a long hot shower.
Gotcha.
How's the wet shaving going, by the way?
It's going good. I still don't have getting the foam quite right each time. I'm kind of like catch as catch can as to whether or not I'm getting that right. But
You're using a Badger brush, right?
yeah, even if I get it too wet, it seems to work fine. So I haven't really. It hasn't seemed like it's been a problem, even if it's like I
No,
said.
and that's the important part. But a lot of times you'll see people with like the big, thick, fluffy. That's probably not a soap. That's probably a shaving cream. Number one.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so here's some more questions, Clive. When you really are going,
Crazy?
Clive, when you really are going be doing a big freak off case, what suit and watch combo do you prefer? I think he kind of already talked about that.
A little bit. I mean, I hate to say it. I call it my. I call it the Donald J. Trump suit. I've got like a really nice, sharp-looking, well-fitting blue suit.
Mm-hmm.
Works, a bit of a shinier fabric.
Mm-hmm.
Freshly starched white shirt and a red tie.
Gotcha. Can you explain surgeon cuffs? I don't know.
I have never heard that term before.
Yeah, I don't know what those are. How about bespoke suits from Michikushi Department in Ginza, Tokyo? I don't know, but I'll tell you, there are bespoke suits and there are bespoke suits. And there's a guy up in Canada that does a really good job. I mean, you're looking at about 75 to 80 hours of hand work in those suits if they really do it right. And so you're looking at, $5,000 for a suit. If somebody claims they're doing a bespoke suit for you and they're charging like $1,000, then it's not the real deal. And even if they're charging $2,000, it's not the real deal. It's semi custom, but it's not. It doesn't have the amount of hand work in it that the real deal has.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if it's something important, if you're like going to an important date, you don't want to walk in with a semi.
Yeah, and it says easiest to look that up on the internet. Simply said, you can fully unbutton the cuffs. Okay, if that's the term that he's talking about, yeah, most bespoke suits, the buttons are functional on the sleeve. At least a couple of them are.
Right.
Can immediately get to work. So a surgeon can immediately get to work in a real emergency. So I guess he can unbutton them and roll his sleeves up a little bit.
Because yes, a surgeon is totally going to be walking into an operating theater
in a bespoke suit. Yeah, of course. Here's a good question I've always struggled with. What's the best way to pack a suit in your luggage for a trip? I'll tell you, some people know how to pack suits and they're just like perfect. I mean, that is an art form.
Well, I usually have like something, a hanging more or less thing, hangs them up on the hangers.
Yeah, that's the best way. Yeah, but sometimes you don't have room for that.
Well, and
where you're going and what you're doing. What law do you practice?
You might want to look at this thing that I use occasionally. It's called the internet.
Yeah, exactly. They got videos on how to do that.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, yeah, what am I? You know, some people ask me. I've got a friend that asked me somewhere I'm in the car. It's like, what? Do you think I'm your personal fucking Google?
Yeah, exactly. So we got some more questions though here. So what law do you practice?
I practice criminal defense, and I have five divorce cases at any time.
Gotcha. What is your favorite suit
And
color?
I'm serious about that. If I get rid of one divorce, settle it, litigate it, as soon as the decree is turned in and signed and stamped
You
and
got
delivered, another one walks in the door.
Gotcha.
I've had legal assistants that thought I was joking, and literally there had been time I said, "Okay, we'll have another divorce case in 2 hours," and they were laughing. They thought I was making a joke, and literally someone would walk in.
Yeah.
So sorry, what were you saying?
You must be doing a good job. That probably some of those are referrals. Would you buy a suit from Nordstrom Rack? I'm not even sure whether there is one. I need a new suit. I cannot fit in my old one.
Well, okay, Nordstrom Rack, yeah. The most recent ex, codenamed Garbage Fire, is came from. She's a Okie that was transplanted on the left coast, grew up there and came back. Loves Nordstrom's. Oh my God, she loves Nordstrom's. And Nordstrom Rack, decent stuff. Oh yes, shoes also. Sometimes I can go. Literally, I found like $1,000 Italian loafers for like $185.
Yeah.
I need to get those. I need to wear them a lot more. I mean, the only trouble is they're like almost a basketball tan, but my God, they're comfortable. It's like it's like wearing tennis shoes.
Sure, sure. Okay, so Durr is answering another person. I tuck one sleeve and shoulder of the jacket into the other sleeve and fold it in half. That seems to protect it from most wrinkles. Well, there you go. Sorry for my terrible grammar. I mess up with bigly during my cardio. Okay.
Just blame it on your phone. Just blame it on your phone like everyone else does.
Exactly. I do hear about people going to Ho Chi Minh City and Bangkok to get tailor-made suits. Well, sure, but a lot of those suits aren't that great. Some of them are okay, but a lot of them probably aren't going to be as good as the suits that Clive just bought. Get mine made in patio or whatever, 12 fittings over 3 days, approximately 300 per suit. Okay, there you go. A lot of it's the fabric, the quality of the fabric, folks. I mean, you got to get the good fabric.
You got to touch it.
Yeah, that's right. What's the name of the Canadian bespoke suit maker, Craig? I don't remember, but if you, he's got some videos on YouTube. The guy, he's really good. Just search bespoke suits Canada, and he's probably going to come up. And it's worth watching his videos because it's really cool how he makes his suits. Clive, do you know any New Orleans attorney?
No, unfortunately, Louisiana, it's a little bit different because there's still a little bit more ground, especially the civil. They're a little bit more grounded in the Napoleonic Code than we are.
Yeah. Functioning buttons on the cuff are considered surgeon cuff rather than just buttons that do not function. There we go. Okay, we got that down pat now.
So
if you prefer,
if we're going to call the functioning buttons surgeon buttons, maybe we could call the other ones Archie buttons.
There you go. Clive, do you prefer male or female clients as divorce clients? Is there a difference?
Female. Well, yeah. The pros and cons either way. I almost think the times when it's the thing is, a lot of times when you're, of course, attorney and counselor at law, sometimes the counselor part is not psychotherapy, but advising the client in general. So I actually think it's almost like tennis. Mixed doubles are probably, you get the best result. The divorces where a guy hires a guy and the gal hires the gal, those are the worst ones.
Okay, gotcha.
There's a lot of times where you can advise the female, this is going to be interpreted this way. Make sure you do this instead.
So Herman gets his suits made in Pakistan. Let's see, Clive, could you think of a scenario in which you would wear a yellow gold Submariner or Daytona to court?
Yeah, all the time. If a lot of people there, and a lot of, I mean, prospect fishing the pier.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody would take that the wrong way. I mean, maybe if you had it totally exposed out from under your shirt and you knew you were just being blatant about just, flashing
No.
a gold watch, then I think people would.
But on the other hand, people seem to have this thing that all lawyers are like all doctors are alike, and nothing can be further from the truth. Like
Exactly.
different types of attorneys, different area practices, different, like the defense guys flash. Flash is beneficial because, like peacocking, because especially the socioeconomic that we're basically hired by, they notice that.
Yeah.
So the younger guys dress as flashily as possible, and they'll have the obviously gilded, oversized, huge, chunky watches.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, if you're a young associate in a medium to large law firm, the last thing you want is a big flashy watch.
Yeah.
So you'd want to get something like a Rolex. You'd want to get like an Oyster Perpetual
Sure.
or an Air King, or better yet, an older Date Just.
And have it generally speaking under your shirt until you're actually looking at it.
Right.
Would make sense.
But on the other hand, if you're in a civil litigation firm, you're always going to be looking at it.
Okay, so here we go. Matt Atkinson, higher end suits, but not bespoke suits, will have fully functioning buttons. The advantage is that you can more easily shorten the sleeves. Looks better after shortening. Okay. Canadian Garrison bespoke suits for TV shows. Garrison bespoke makes suits for TV show suits. Trend Custom Tailors, very great tailor in Toronto, perfect fitting. Okay, name is Don. Okay. Are sports coats and khakis not too dressy for everyday use? I mean, sport coats and khakis you could probably wear just about any time.
Right.
I don't know a time when that would
be major, if it's not like a trial on the merits, for instance.
Yeah, I really don't think a lawyer should dress like that, but I'm talking about other people. Can definitely wear a sport coat and khakis most of the time, but I think with a lawyer, you're better off wearing your Hart Schaffner marks most of the time, I would think. I mean,
With the exception of the trial, though, you don't want to press yourself off. Especially going to the adjacent smaller counties, more rural counties. The last thing you want to do in front of a jury is make yourself look like a city slicker.
Okay, I got you. Yeah. Who made John Gotti's suits?
I'm not sure, but he's probably dead now.
Yeah. And you might want to Google that. You probably might find an answer. Was Johnny Cochran a good attorney? Yeah, he got the job done for OJ.
And here's the thing, though. If it don't fit, you must acquit. That's burned into the national consciousness. I mean, just getting the right phrase a lot of times, and a lot of with a jury trial like that, the best attorneys are actually storytellers.
No, absolutely. Hell yeah. I think Hickey Freeman made Gotti's suits. Well, there you go. I don't blame him.
Well,
Clive could wear a blue blazer and khaki slacks well, but he may come off as a company man more than an attorney, whatever that means. Was Gotti's suit maker also a concrete shoemaker?
he probably modeled some towards the end.
Clive, have you ever used the Chewbacca defense? Chewbacca, what's that?
No, I have no idea what that is. But
Cochran dressed like a pimp. I thought he dressed pretty good.
Yeah. Again, criminal defense, flashy.
Yeah.
You want in a big city like I said, big city jury. You want the jury to be concentrating on you, not looking at your client sitting beside you, picking his nose or, you know, making scary eyes at the bailiff.
Yeah. I got to let Sarah know that we're going to stay with the latest video is okay. You can just do some testing.
Now, Craig, I want to get your opinion on a watch, if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah.
I'm looking at one, and it's an Audemars Piguet.
Okay.
Actually, let's pull the audience. I've got it pulled up on the screen. Can you see it on the screen?
Yeah, give me a second and I'm going to check it. I'm just responding to her thing here, and then I'll be right there. Oh, sugar. You can, if I could just type. There we go. Okay, now let's get here to look at this. Okay. Okay, there's a couple reasons why I would pass on this.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, I'm not a big fan of Audemars Piguet. I'm not. I would go Patek Philippe, right? I mean, that's just what I would do. Now, the second thing is, I don't particularly like all the huge numerals. I mean, I like the way an Explorer has a few of them, right? But I know I don't like 12 of them, like on this style. And the other thing is, I don't like lugs that look like they were stuck on and you know, that don't meld into the case with a nice flow to them. I know a lot of people like that look, and a lot of the Patek Philippe's are like that, right? Some of them are not. Some of them have a nice flowing case. Some of the Calatravas, for example.
Now, what are they saying in the live stream comments about it?
Let me take a look. Okay, let's see here. Pass on that AP. Okay, let me see what else we got. Too big. I don't know the size of it.
38 by 45. That's a fair size one,
yeah,
believe it or not.
Yeah. Ugly AP, Clive. Has the name, but no. That's Porsche Maven's comment. Durr says, shoot, that's an attractive watch. I think the only AP I would want would be the Royal Oak. Yeah, forget the Royal Oak. It's ugly, Durr. I don't think
Not just that, it's overpriced. You're going after something. What you're paying for the prestige. You're paying, well, not just for the prestige. It's the popularity contest.
Yeah, I would just pass on the whole Royal Oak concept. I just pass on the whole thing. All right, Herman says Craig doesn't like the lugs. You got that right. John Gotti wore Brioni suits. Piguet with loafers, socks or no socks. I don't like doing the no sock thing. Back in the day, that's what we used to do all the time, is no socks with loafers.
Oh, sorry. Do you mind if I get this real quick? Sorry, apologies.
Go ahead. So regarding the loafers, yeah, if you're down in Florida and you're hanging out by the pool and you're wearing Gucci's and you have a nice suntan, you know, all the way down to your feet, then going sockless with the Gucci's is okay. Sure, why not? Depends on where you are and what you're doing. But if you're wearing long pants like khakis or something, I would probably just wear socks. Shoes aren't going to get as smelly inside and all that nonsense. I really like the military style. How thick is it? If Clive comes back, we'll have him answer the question as to how thick it is when he gets off the phone and comes back. Case shape is fugly, which is why they are cheap. I don't like the numeral font. It reminds me of a 90s officer. I think the 11 and 12 look too close together. Wouldn't it be amazing if Tudor would let you customize your watch? Bespoke Tudor. Why would you want a Tudor? My gosh, please. Better than the Royal Oak, in my opinion. Well, yeah, anything would be better than a Royal Oak. Royal Oak is ugly. Okay. kind of reminds me of Panerai. Yeah, and Panerai, we'd pass on that too. Don't bother with Royal Joke. Go yellow gold sub. Absolutely yellow gold sub. Royal Oak is still the same design it was in the 70s. Yeah, but it was a bad design then, and it's a bad design now. A bad design doesn't get better with age. I mean, look at the Rolexes from the 70s that had a good design, like just a Datejust. It looked great in the 70s. No problem. It looks great now. You get a good design, it doesn't matter what decade it was made. Royal Oak is an Oyster Quartz knockoff. It's Royal Oak or nothing for AP. Yeah, pass on the Royal Oak. They're junk. They're ugly. Garbage watches. Loafers without socks are fine if you are Don Johnson. There you go. If you look like Don Johnson, you can probably wear anything you want. I don't like to see Clive rock a yellow gold or whatever that is, I think. Great. Okay. Don Johnson is my idol. Well, there you go. He's getting old now, though. Yellow gold Yachtmaster 2. I'm not so sure about that either. All right, we'll give Clive time to come back here and answer some of these questions, and then I'm going to wrap this puppy up. We've been going for a while here, folks. Any other questions while we're waiting for the Clivester to come back? Oh, please go and comment on the latest Cowgirl Live video. I'll put the link in the chat. She re-uploaded it just now. It's at least at 720p now. She's been,
Hello, I'm Sarah Butler.
let me get this link.
Today I'm going to
She's been having problems getting the uploads correct, getting the settings right and all that. So here, I'll put the direct link to the video in the chat. So any of you all that haven't commented, just comment directly on that video. Just say something like, keep up the great work. We're looking forward to more of your videos. Just anything at all, any kind of comment. Blank screen, black screen. Oh, we're on Clive. I'm sorry. I had it locked on Clive the whole time. So that's the deal. Good discussion today, Craig. Are you broadcasting this weekend? I don't know. I may or may not broadcast tomorrow. I don't know yet. I don't think I'm going to broadcast Sunday, and then I've got an event New Year's Eve. Sarah is getting better and better with each video. Well, yeah, I mean, I think she's going to be a hell of a talent. And put that comment, Brian. Put that comment down for her to see. Let's see. JR or Cliff Barnes. Is there a video on your stance on Tudor and the reasoning behind it? I wouldn't waste my time doing a video about Tudor. We shouldn't even consider Tudor. I mean, it'd be like a Bulova or something. I mean, I'm not going to do a video about a Bulova either. I mean, why would you want to consider it? Just buy a Rolex for gosh sakes, or buy a Grand Seiko, or buy a Patek Philippe. Buy something, you know, with buy a real watch for gosh sakes. Pinstripe polyester bespoke suit with a Tudor would be a stunning combo look. Craig only likes Seiko. No, I like Rolex. I've said a lot of good things about Rolexes. I've owned them for 40 plus years. So yeah, I have nothing against them. I just, right now, the best watch for me for a daily wear watch, all the time watch, is this stunning diver right here. And it happens to be a Grand Seiko. Baked beans make me Tudor all night, because Tudors are pig ugly watches, right? Bespoke, Seiko, SKX. I wonder if we've permanently lost Clive. That must have been a real important call. He must be like doing a deal. What do you think? He's doing a deal. I hope he's not buying that Audemars. Seiko or GTFO. I own a GS Snowflake. Should I get an Explorer or an Oyster Perpetual for my next watch? No. I mean, what's the reasoning behind it? Why would you need one of those? What's your use case? I mean, in other words, what use case will those fulfill that the Grand Seiko Snowflake is not fulfilling? If you're going to get another watch, I would want to have a specific use case for it, not just to have another watch sitting around that you're not wearing. What is your favorite dial color for two-tone Datejust? It's a good question. I like the blue dials on them. Probably a black dial would be nice and legible depending on the indices. I prefer GS Snowflake instead of a liberal Snowflake. Well, there you go. All right, we're going to give him a couple more minutes here to come back, and then we're going to call this stream on the count of I am hungry. White Buckley dial is beautiful. There you go. Hi, Craig. What are some of the items in your display case behind you? Those are like different, like rocks and fossils and maybe a couple of shells or something. Nothing fancy in there. Whoops, what is that? I've heard Clive is back, I think.
Yes.
Okay, so here's something. I heard Clive is developing a new hybrid cryptocurrency backed by Tudor watches. He's calling it Tudor Coin. Get in early and don't miss out. If you own a snowflake, then don't bother with an OP39 or Datejust. You're being redundant. Yeah, that's what I was kind of saying. Okay, Clive. So, what were you answering some question when the phone rang? I don't remember what we were doing when the phone rang.
No idea. If you super chat Craig $5,
Oh, no, we were talking. Wait. We were talking about that watch.
Oh, the millenary, yeah.
So I think most of them said no.
Well, yeah, because here's the thing: it's not iconic.
I don't think it's that attractive. Do you really like the look of it?
Well, well, to be honest, it's really the bargain of it. It's what appeals to me. It's Totorology for, in this case, less than $3,000.
Are you thinking about flipping it?
No, and that's just the other thing. It's just something I'm mulling over, but it's not like I'm ooh.
Have you given any thought? We're gonna wrap this broadcast up pretty soon. But have you given any thought to my advice of liquidating a few watches and getting a 18 karat GMT2?
Or at least an 18 karat watch, reputable. Yeah, there's actually Chris up the road in Tulsa. I'm kind of talking. What are the Soviets marching for? Sorry, must be a communist.
I've got the History Channel on, and they've got a bunch of things about Hitler going on right now.
I used to love the History Channel. You know, Sunday nights with the History Channel, History of Sex, Tales of the Gun, and then they'd have something like Pool Boys of the Third Reich.
Yeah.
Like hookers and Nazis and guns. Oh, my.
Yeah.
I love that. That was like must-see TV.
Absolutely.
So the question...
what's the thickness of the watch they're asking?
I can't tell you offhand. It's automatic movement.
Okay, well, so the other question that I asked you is about my intervention the other day and trying to get you to get rid of some of the steel.
I'm in the process. I'll put it that way.
Okay. Are you in the process of getting rid of some of the steel stunners and then getting the gold one, or are you in the process of getting the gold one and then you'll get rid of the steel stunners?
Steel stunners and then the gold one.
Good move.
Yeah. Don't spend what you don't got.
Good move. Good move. All right. Did you all hear that? Did you all hear that? That's what we call responsibility, fiscal responsibility. Okay. So, all right, we're going to wrap it. Is there anything you want to say to wrap things up?
No. The thing is, we all have different tastes. We have different styles, and we have different preferences. I'm just saying, it's possible to be an adult and disagree with someone and realize that other people don't exactly love what you love. We can't all love waffles. Weird people have to.
Come on. Wait a minute now. That's a bad example. Who doesn't like a waffle?
Yes, it is, because waffles are fucking awesome.
All right. I want to do a quick poll here, guys. Everybody that's watching, there's 41 people watching. Quick poll. Put a Y in the chat if you like waffles. Put an N if you don't. N for no, Y for yes.
No. Disagree. Put a W in if you like waffles. Put a P in if you like pancakes. Put a F in if you like French toast.
Well,
but waffles are awesome. You got to understand that. But
it's hard to beat a waffle. It really, and I eat French toast. I make some epic French toast. Okay. And I mean, it is fantastic. I eat it almost every day while I'm here because we got the eggs and all from the chickens, and so I eat it. But it's hard to beat waffles.
Yeah.
And so that's not a good. You can't make your point with that analogy because
yes, you can. Just because waffles are awesome, but on the other hand, some people like pancakes, but that doesn't mean they're lesser people. It just means that their tastes are not as awesome as yours.
Wait a minute now. If they like pancakes and they don't like waffles, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. We got to call them out, man. We got to call them out. That's ridiculous.
Look, this is what's leading to the general incivility in the breakfast community.
Well, listen,
it used to be waffle likers could reach across the aisle to our pancake eating brethren and find points that we agree upon, such as butter and syrup.
So I know what you're getting at. You're getting at, I shouldn't be telling people that to absolutely not buy a tutor under any circumstances. And if they own one, that they should get rid of it, that I shouldn't be saying that. But here's the thing.
No. I'm not saying that. No, that's facts. That's facts. Now, you can list the facts behind that. You can state your preference. But on the other hand, that doesn't. If someone likes a tutor, if they're just in love with the tutor,
yeah,
you sometimes just have to let people go on their own journey.
Well, yeah, I mean, they don't have to follow my advice. My advice is free. I mean, they're getting their money's worth, right? My advice is free. They're getting what they paid for, right? And so they absolutely don't have to follow my advice, and most of them don't. The vast majority of them don't follow my advice.
Right. But on the other hand, to say that I like waffles, and if you like pancakes, you're a retard, that's what we need to get away from.
Well, but isn't that pretty much what I'm saying? If I tell them that they shouldn't buy a tutor, and if they have one, they should sell it. I mean, isn't that pretty much what I'm saying to them? That if you have one, you're not real bright.
That's pretty much, yeah.
So
you're calling them retards, but
so here's the thing, though. I mean, we've all done stupid things, all of us, right?
Right.
And I, for one, wish there was somebody 30 or 40 years ago when I was making a lot of stupid moves. It would have been nice if there would have been somebody saying, hey, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you thinking?
Sometimes truth can be as subjective as it can be objective. Sometimes there is a truth for you that may not be a truth for somebody else. And that's why I'm using the waffles and the pancakes analogy.
Well, wait a minute now, Clive. If they get rid of a damn tutor, let's say they're unfortunate enough to own two of them. Let's say they get rid of those two tutors and they buy like a Datejust 36. I mean, let's face it, they're better off. Under what circumstances would they not be better off doing that deal?
Well, if they truly, well, if they're gonna listen to you anyway, if they really love tutor, they're not gonna listen to you. Someone asked me a piece of advice, and I was doing a response to it. I said, if you really love this watch, I said, well, wait a minute, come to think of it, you're asking me for advice, so you don't really love this watch. You're indecisive. You're unsure about it. But there might be some people that like the aesthetics of the Tudor watch. The
Well,
I hate the snowflake hands. Some people might be all right with the snowflake hands. Some people might like the more classic elements of the design, like a Submariner without crown guards, for instance, like the old original school Submariners
yeah.
used to be. But the trouble is, some people like Tudor, like the black bays because they love the black bays. I'd say they're in the minority. Most people who get it want a Submariner, or let's just say a Grand Seiko diver, and they can't afford them, and they're settling.
And see, here's the problem with this whole thing, is you've got people that are buying several of these so-so watches because they're more affordable. And by the time all is said and done, they've spent enough money to where they could have gotten a real watch.
Opportunity cost.
Right? And so they've shot themselves in the foot. It's just like when somebody asks me about, they want to get some wireless mics, right? And I tell them, I say, get the Sennheiser AVX system because it's just going to work all the time. It's not going to fail. It's just going to plug and play. You turn on the receiver, turn on the transmitter. It's just going to work. If you go with some cheaper system, it's not going to last, and it's probably not going to work that well, and you're going to end up buying this system anyway eventually. And so just buy the right thing to start with and don't screw yourself. And it's the same thing with watches. It's the same thing with suits. It's the same thing with a lot of these things. If you buy crap, you're always going to have crap. If you buy the good stuff and buy the right item for the job that you need to do, then I think you're going to be way ahead of the game. And that's all I try to, suggest that people do.
But the thing is, and I know I've talked about this a couple of times, but the most important question that you could ask going into the hobby of horology is one that few, if seldom anyone asks themselves, and that's simply the question is, who am I? What's important to me? What do I truly value?
Well, and the other question they don't ask often is, what am I going to use the watch for? What is my use case? And
Well,
am I buying it just to sit somewhere and to occasionally take and handle and look at, or am I actually going to use this watch? Okay.
Well,
you
remember back in the day, people would actually walk into a Rolex AD and they would actually look at all the watches at once, and they would get the watch that fit their use case. And
yeah, that's what we used to do.
The one that they liked and they could afford.
That's what we used to do. Absolutely.
For the longest time, like I said, Submariners, some of the Rolex's classic iconic models they couldn't give away because literally it's just like, well, hey, this one's a Submariner. Submariner? What the hell are you trying to sell me that watch for, son? I live in a landlocked state.
Yeah.
Did they put an ocean outside of Tulsa and I didn't hear about it? No.
That's right.
And you want me to spend extra on this little rotating clicky thing that I have no idea what it does, I'm never going to use, and that you're saying that's the watch I should buy when this here date just looks a lot slicker. Yeah.
Well, and back in the day, many, many years ago, the first watch I bought was a date just, and it met my needs for a while, and then I got the date 8, and then I like could never look back. I mean, it's like, and that's the other thing. These people that say, well, I don't want an 18-karat gold watch, it's too flashy and all this stuff. I mean, I'm sorry, a freaking date 8 is gorgeous. I don't give a rat's rear in what they're saying. It's freaking gorgeous. A gold pre-ceramic sub in 18 karat gold is gorgeous. I mean, and it's not that flashy. I mean, it just looks great. I mean, I think most of them are saying that because they really can't afford to buy the gold one. They're stretching to buy the steel one, right? They're stretching big time to buy the steel one.
And like, but on the other, I know we've had discussions about two-tones, but I've had some two-tone. Well, I had like, I wonder if I've got a picture of it available. I actually found like a steal of a deal on a two-tone Yachtmaster with a blue dial and a solid gold bezel around it.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind, the bezel was completely gold.
Mm-hmm.
No little links, and the blue was, I love that blue.
Yep.
But what I decided, I mean, literally what I decided is I just don't like the flash. This, I mean, like I said, is this one really flashy? No, it's not. The Parmigiani.
Uh-huh. No, it's not. No.
And that's probably, and I probably need the flashiest watch I can for my job, and frankly, going out and attracting all the miscreants and felons in the courtroom. But if that's not you, then I would say don't get it. I mean,
Well, I'll put it this way. All the times that I wore the Day-Date, okay, I never had anybody even hint that there was any like that they thought it was too flashy or it's gaudy or you know, who are you trying to impress? Or I never had any of that, not even an inkling of any of that. Now, a lot of the times it was partially under a sleeve, under a shirt cuff or whatever, where maybe you were just seeing the edge of it or whatever. But there were a lot of times when I had my sleeves rolled up and it was totally exposed. And I mean, I just don't think people think like that. I don't think most people care. Now, if I was wearing like gold earrings with diamonds in them and a gold bracelet on this hand and a gold necklace and all kinds of crap, then yeah, they'd probably think, you know, what the hell's going on here? But you're just wearing a nice gold watch. I don't think most people think negatively about that. I mean, I don't have experience with that, with it being a problem. Now, most of the people I hang around with are relatively successful, kind of, you know, on the affluent side. You know, most of them are business owners and stuff like that. But still, I mean, even at events where there's all kinds of people around and all, I never had any kind of inkling that people were thinking a bunch of negative things, like I was a drug dealer or something like that. You know, so I think that's overrated.
I'm just not talking about flashy as in the older you get, though, the less you're concerned with the opinions of others.
Mm-hmm.
And if you disagree with me, if you doubt this, have breakfast with your grandparents. They will tell you everything that happened, and they don't care. They totally do not care.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I didn't like. It was too flashy for me. I didn't like the flash of it.
Mm-hmm. Now, which one were you wearing that you didn't like the flash of it?
The Yachtmaster.
Okay.
Two-tone. And I love the blue dial, but there's just something about it. I eventually just fell out of love with it.
Mm-hmm.
I like something else. I want something a little bit more, I hate to say it, Republican.
Mm-hmm.
Like a good Republican cloth coat. To quote,
So you don't think the GMT2 in gold would be a good watch for you?
I would say if I could find a good vintage one, yeah. I think the charm of the vintage would outweigh the flashiness.
Yeah, I think it would be cool. I think it would look fine. Because you're a classy looking guy. You're well dressed and all. I think it's elegant. I don't see any problem with it whatsoever. There's a bunch of comments in here, but I can't see.
But all your comments start with one word. I.
Yeah. Okay. Craig, I think you're going to have to block Clive. What the heck? This is David. He always comes up with a bunch of stupid comments.
Okay, Dave, if you want Craig to block Clive, you have to super chat him $100.
Yeah,
You'll block me for the rest of this episode.
that would break him though. That he wouldn't be able to buy potato chips for the rest of the month.
That's
Tutor,
that's not your fucking problem, is it?
yeah, you're right. Tutor should just ditch those hideous snowflake hands on the Black Bay 58.
God, I hate the snowflake. Okay, the snowflake hands, you remember back in the 90s when you could tell whoever got the base model car
Mhm.
because they had a black bumper. It might be a red car, red throughout, but the front and the black bumpers were black. Because you could tell, I mean, because it's just like, we could spray paint the bumper red to match the rest of the car, but it's a base model, so fuck it.
Exactly, yeah.
And to me, and that's just the way I'm wired. It's just the experience I have. When I see the snowflake hands, what immediately the first thing that jumps up and down and screams is not a Rolex.
Exactly.
Totally not a Rolex.
So here's somebody that has serious problems. R. Wags, he says, I have 3 18-karat gold Rolexes, but I wear a 1955 Tudor Ranger to bang around on the weekends. Craig told me to ditch the Tudor. I'm keeping it, but it's fun to hear him go on about the Tudor.
Tudor, okay, and just to say, there's a lot of things. The Tudor can be. They can have problems with the brand. They can have problems with the models, but there's not a damn thing wrong with I like the Ranger. I mean, that's
here's the deal. Here's a guy with 3 18-karat gold Rolexes. He doesn't say what they are. I probably doubt he has 3, but if he does, God bless him. But I'd like to know what 3 he's got. So let's say if one of those 3 is a 36 mil date just with an oyster bracelet in a smooth bezel, 18-karat gold. I'd wear that as a beat-around watch. I'd wear it all the time. You're not going to hurt that watch. You're not going to hurt it one bit. Matter of fact, believe it or not, a gold Rolex resists scratches and things like that better than a steel one. I mean, it might get a little ding here and there, but like my day held up great for many, 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 many years. They hold up really well. They're not fragile like people say they are. Now the newer ones.
But on the other hand, it's subjective. I've got a couple of friends, and they're very successful. They're basic. One builds houses. His name is AJ. AJ's salt of the earth. He is the most down to earth, honest guy. He's like the closest thing I have to a conscience. I'll put it that way. And he's got some Rolex pieces and other pieces that just. He's got like Dad gave him a steel Daytona ceramic bezel, the titanium, the holy of the sitting on the middle of the holy of holies, and really, really nice exclusive pieces, hard to get stuff. But he found a 39 millimeter Explorer 1, and that's one of the simplest watches that Rolex makes. Really, it's basically an Oyster Perpetual with a sports style and Mercedes hands on it.
Yeah, it's nice, yeah.
And he loves that watch. He loves that, even though he has far more exclusive, far more harder to get, far more expensive pieces. Basically, one of the things he was saying is just like, if I had to go down to just this one, I think I'd be okay with it.
Well, that's a great all-around, use all the time watch. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to step up to all gold, there is no problem with wearing those things in just about any circumstance. They hold up really well, and there's a lot of people that say the opposite, like Archie was talking about the Submariner, how, very fragile and all that. No way, man. No way.
Archie's probably coming at. Well, okay, we both know Archie doesn't buy new, right? So if he has a Submariner or any sort of gold Rolex, it's going to be a vintage watch with the bracelet, hollow end.
Well,
folded clasps, folded link.
a lot of those had solid end links and stuff. A lot of the gold ones, they had solid end links before, the steel ones did.
But on the other hand, especially with the older vintage ones, bracelet stretch was a problem, especially with one that did get a lot of use and was sometimes got neglected on the cleaning.
That's right. If you've got one with stretch, then it's got stretch. I mean, there's not much you can do about that. But if it's in good shape and doesn't have stretch and you take care of it, they hold up pretty good. Like I say, mine held up. Mine's 20 years old and it held up fine. So they can hold up. I mean, you can put the damn thing on a strap. I mean, there's other things you can do as well, but that's really the only problem with them is if they're not taken care of, then you can get the bracelet issues. My first 8/8 had a fair amount of bracelet stretch. That's why I got it pretty cheap. And I still wore it, even with the stretch. I just wore it. I mean, it was fine. So I don't know. I mean,
and the thing is, it kind of shows the weirdness of the time we're living in, because usually people just had one nice watch, if any. And that was, by God, that was their effing watch.
And I respect that too. I mean, that's the thing I like about Jack Nicklaus. He wore that one date 8 for forever, right? I think he's still wearing. I guess he's going to auction it or whatever. But I mean, it was his only watch. His whole life. It was his first watch, and that's kind of cool that he just wore that thing all the time. Now he took it off and put it in his bag when he was actually golfing, but all the other times it was on his wrist. And now we don't know if Rolex fixed the bracelet over the years, or we don't know, right? They very well could have. And by the way, there are people that fix those bracelets.
Michael Young, being out of Hong Kong, being the most notable example.
Exactly. So, I mean, you can get them fixed if you have to. So there's that. But all right, well, we're going to wrap. I think we've solved all the world's problems at this point in time. It's good to know. So anybody that wants their problems solved, just watch this broadcast. And here's a few more comments. The Turnograph is worth looking at. Absolutely. The Turnograph is fantastic. The older ones. I don't like the newer ones. So of course, they don't make them anymore. But the latest version of it, I don't like as much as the older ones. I think they look better. And here's a comment. The only reason I don't wear my 18 karat gold Oyster Perpetual date, I love it, but I've been told by multiple law enforcement friends to take that shit off. Well, maybe you live in a rough area and maybe you don't want to be wearing an 18 karat gold watch if you're living in the slums. So there's that. That's funny. Did I tell you, Clive, there was one time a guy tried to step to me and take my date 8 and my camera gear and stuff.
No, you didn't mention that.
I was shooting the first Baltimore Grand Prix in downtown Baltimore, and I parked about a mile out of town, away from downtown, in a parking lot, where you can put money in the machine and you can park all day. And I unloaded my Segway, and I had all my camera gear and everything. I rode down. I shot the event pretty much all day. And I got there at like 4 a.m. The photographers, you need to get there real early and have a meeting and all that stuff, right? And so anyway, I shot the thing all day, and it was about 6 or 7 o'clock at night. And I'm driving back to this paid parking lot, right? And I pull up, and I open the rear hatch of the Prius. I get the ramps out. I put the Segway in the back, and this guy's coming up to me, and he says, I'm going to have to take all your shit. And let's start with that watch, right? And I said, well, here's how that's going to work out. I said, this is exactly where they're going to find you. And I put my hand on my Chris Reeves Sabenza that was in the sheath on my side, and he wasn't displaying any kind of a weapon at the time.
Right.
And he backed off and left. And that was it. He was clearly a junkie and high. And so I finished loading up and got the heck out of there. But that's the closest I came. And of course, it was in Baltimore, in a fairly dicey section, not a terrible section, but a marginal section of town.
I first time going to college, I was driving through I-44 and I-70, and I thought, well, I want to get across the Mississippi River. I'm almost out of gas. East St. Louis. Well, okay, I guess this is as good a place as it. No. I'm just so in a gold Trans Am 78. This is like late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So I then turn on a rap state. I roll the windows up, crank them a little bit, and I'm cranking rap music out the windows as loud as I can, just figuring like, audio camouflage.
Yeah, blend in.
And I'm gonna start to open the door. This little black kid walks up and says, "Hey, give me $10. I'll pump your gas." I'm like, "Fuck yes."
Oh boy! I thought he was going to say, "Give me
my money back then," but that was one of the best purchases I think I've ever made.
Yeah, I thought he was going to say, "Give me $10, and you're going to live through the rest of the evening."
No, he's like 8.
Yeah, but he's the lead guy, and he's the guy that collecting the protection money. Yeah,
pretty much. Well,
wow.
Craig, thanks for having me on. Do you have any plans for New Year's?
I've got 2 events that I'm going and shooting some video clips for 2 different sponsors. So I'm going to go by and try to shoot some stuff. They both have some live entertainment, so I'll shoot a little bit of the entertainment, then I'll shoot some B-roll clips and just put a video together for each of them. And then they'll be happy, and so they'll keep paying me. So that's how it works. I keep them happy, and they keep paying me.
Getting paid is good.
Yeah,
I'm rather a fan of it.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. All right. Well, yeah, coordinate with sometime after the first of the year. Let's coordinate with Archie. Are you doing any more shows with him?
With Archie, there's no telling, truthfully. It depends. There was like an epic Watch Guru bitch slap fight on WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see 3 of the guys literally circling each other. Yeah, Archie will come in and just basically insult everyone, stir everyone up, then leave.
Anyway,
it's like a bull walking into the middle of your living room, emptying its bowels, and then wandering off. Almost concerned.
So I probably don't want him on my channel anyway, because he'll drop a bunch of F-bombs and stuff. I'll probably get demonetized. So
quite possibly. You think, yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I would be willing to go on his show if you want to go on sometime. Then I would be willing to go on if he wants me to go on.
Yeah, keep in mind Archie's dropped more F-bombs than the Soviet Union.
Exactly. Oh, I know.
All right.
Carry on. Thank you for coming on. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Remember, Cowgirls Live.